vulnerability to deepen their bond, trying to break using them as a distraction. The full weight of the awkward situation finally hit her, leaving her speechless and blushing. Forrest frantically insists he saw nothing, while Isis calmly knows the rest seems panicked by their arrival. The showed up while she was bathing, causing the misunderstanding. Now composed, Forrest admits he was just startled as one of the ants tries to communicate. The honeypot ants chirp excitedly, clearly trying to convey an urgent message. He admits with a wide smile that he can't understand their insect language. The ant gestures insistently before seems to grasp a part of its surprising request. Isis watches the exchange, concluding that the tiny creatures want them to follow. Forrest weighs their options, deciding it's best to investigate if they plan to make this desert their home. With their decision made, the two outcasts agree to follow their new insect guides into the unknown. The ants lead them to a colossal earthen structure, which Forrest identifies as their nest. Venturing inside, they find themselves in the vast labyrinth of an intricately realizing the desert holds far more intelligent life than they ever imagined. The Queen reveals the reason for their summons, a territorial war with a hostile species known as the Iron Ant. She explains her plan to negotiate directly with the Iron Ant King, but she needs a powerful escort to ensure her safety. Forrest listens intently, stroking his chin as he weighs the risks and rewards of this unexpected alliance. The Queen formally requests his aid, asking him to use the same overwhelming power that drove off while Forrest sees this as a perfect opportunity to establish a foothold. With the pack sealed, to formalize their is combat magic for their honey. Eager to begin, he suggests they depart for the Iron Ant territory immediately. The Queen gratefully accepts his terms, sealing their new pact with a nod. The Queen is taken aback as they traverse the desert and explore the
I now no.
Their ant guide suddenly chirps with urgency, signaling they've reached their destination. In the distance, a colossal, mountain-like fortress emerges from the dunes, the Iron Ant Nest. Iron Ant sentries power is overwhelming, but Forrest remains completely unfazed. Without waiting for a response, he channels his energy into a massive magic circle. He unleashes a great sand wave, a colossal tsunami of sand that dwarfs the Iron Ant guards. The tidal wave of magic effortlessly sweeps the panicked soldiers away from the entrance. Forrest lands gracefully before the fortress gates, his path now completely clear. With the initial guards dispatched, he prepares to enter the enemy stronghold. But a new swarm of aggressive iron ants bursts from the entrance to confront him. He combos with a sandbind spell, trapping the charging ants in their tracks. A single step is all it takes to completely neutralize one of the immobilized soldiers. He pauses thoughtfully, sensing there's more to this conflict than a simple territorial dispute. Tapping the sturdy walls, Forrest wonders what material the iron ants use for construction. The Queen explains they build their nests in land rich with a special material, iron sand. He places his hand on the wall, testing his magical affinity with this new element. A new idea forms. If he can control it, this iron sand could be an invaluable resource. The wall shift under his touch, startling his companions. Isis watches in awe as Horus realizes his power extends even to this metallic sand. A confident smile spreads across his face, knowing he can easily neutralize the remaining soldiers. The Iron Ants are completely submerged and restrained by the very ground they stand on. They proceed down the now empty corridor. The sheer size of it is speechless. A new, formidable ant appears. Surprised to see the queen herself has come to their territory. The guard announces their arrival to the imposing Iron Ant King, who sits casually on his throne. The Honey Ant Queen bravely steps forward, declaring her intention to negotiate a truce. But the Iron Ant King coldly dismisses her plea, showing no interest in peaceful discussions. The queen is stunned by his refusal, believing there must be a way to resolve this without conflict. His response is chillingly clear as he grabs his weapon, his mind set for destruction. Horus and Isis watch in shock as the king's murderous intent becomes terrifyingly obvious. The four-armed king rises to his full, intimidating height, ready to end Horus. His mind is consumed by a single dark purpose, leaving no room for reason. With a powerful leap, the king lunges through the air, aiming a decisive blow at the queen. But Horus calmly intervenes, effortlessly halting the king's ferocious attack with his sand magic. He warns the enraged king to stand down, shielding him from the attack. He unleashes his new iron sand binding spell, trapping the king in midair. The Honey Ant Queen insists this violent outburst is completely unlike the king's usual demeanor. Sensing something is wrong, Horus activates his sand sense to investigate the king more closely. His senses reveal a shocking discovery. Another life form is residing inside the king's head. He declares his intention to remove the parasitic demon and restore the king to his senses. Isis asks if her life magic could be used to help deal with the parasitic entity. To assist in the delicate procedure, he summons a massive golem to restrain the powerful king. He explains that this operation requires incredible precision to remove the parasite without harming the host. The possessed king thrashes violently, testing the limits of the magical restraints holding him. With a sharp command, Horus orders his golem to restrain the rampaging king. The possessed king scoffs, underestimating the magical construct's power.
No, babe.
Yeah, it's a
Trying to break
No,
Isis and the queen are left in awe,
$16.
shocked by the sheer power of Horus's creation. Horus remains
It was on sale,
calmly
luckily.
preparing to repair his construct on the fly. The golem's arm instantly regenerates.
I ain't trying to buy it yet.
Proving endlessly resilient. The Iron Ant King is stunned, realizing he's facing a foe that cannot be broken. Seizing the opportunity, Horus dashes forward to begin the delicate extraction. He instructs his golem to maintain its hold as he prepares a precise surgical spell. Using his iron sand magic, he forces the king's mouth open to access the parasite within. With immense concentration, he carefully begins the delicate extraction process. He successfully yanks the parasitic creature from the king's mouth with a triumphant cry. Without missing a beat, he turns to Isis to confirm the king's condition. Isis steps in, using her life magic to neutralize the fleeing parasite for good. She reassures everyone that while the king's energy is drained, he is safe and will recover. The Honey Ant Queen expresses her deep gratitude, which Horus humbly deflects. A moment later, the Iron Ant King begins to stir, finally coming to his senses. Horus calmly explains his actions as a simple matter of business between future trading partners. The now lucid king looks at the Honey Ant Queen, confused but no longer hostile. He then turns and bows his head deeply to Isis, startling her with a sudden show of respect. The Iron Ant King mistakenly accuses Horus of being an invader, but the queen quickly clarifies he's their savior. The Honey Ant Queen prepares to explain the entire complicated situation to the king.
Ah!
He listens in
Get out, get out, get out!
His possession and subsequent rescue is revealed. The full weight of his actions.
Ah, fucking
He's horrified by the lack of control.
I jumped instead of ran. Just like that.
Formally thanks both the Queen and Horus for their intervention. Horus tries to politely wave off the formal thanks, but the king is clearly insistent. The king
Damn, I should've
declares his
came down
intention
here.
to make proper
I'm
amends,
stupid.
despite the queen's attempts to downplay the situation. To move things along, Horus invites the Ant royalty back to his fortress to formalize their new alliance. As they approach, the Ant monarchs are blown away by the castle and oasis, correctly guessing his noble origins. Inside the grand hall, Horus clears his throat, ready to host the first diplomatic meeting of his new kingdom. Honey Ant Queen marvels at the castle's grandeur, a testament to Horus's incredible magical power. The Iron Ant King then turns to Horus. ready to make a formal proposal of his own. Horus is suddenly caught off guard, finding the formal atmosphere a bit difficult to navigate. The king questions Horus's sudden hesitation, unsure what's causing the awkward pause. Changing the subject, Horus asks for their names, only to learn that neither the king nor the queen has one. He finds it strange to continue their alliance without proper names, feeling it creates too much distance. The two ant monarchs begin whispering to each other, leaving Horus to wonder what they're discussing. Having reached a decision, the Honey Ant Queen turns back to face Horus directly. They humbly request that he, their savior and new ally, be the one to bestow names upon them. After a moment of thought,
Oh,
he suggests
Rima, right?
Mel for the queen, hoping they approve. The newly named monarchs, Ain and Mel, gratefully
And then they
accept,
become
with Ain
human,
making a
right?
declaration of lifelong loyalty. Horus is left completely bewildered as the two ant monarchs begin to glow with a mysterious light.
Oh my God. Who would have figured that would have happened, babe?
Shift and change.
Not
In a flash of light,
me.
the two ants are reborn into stunning humanoid forms, standing before a magic circle.
What?
Mel looks up with a serene expression, her new form radiating an ethereal beauty. Horus and Isis can only stare in stunned silence, unable to process the incredible sight before them. Their shock turns to vocal disbelief as they struggle to comprehend the sudden
How are they
transformation.
supposed to be dropping?
Mel celebrates
Wanna
their
watch it?
successful change, while Ain looks on with cool confidence. The prince is snapped out of his stupor.
Okay, why her titties out, but he got armor?
Declaration of fealty.
Right?
They bow their heads in reverence, addressing him not just as an ally, but as their new king. Their declaration echoes through the grand hall, solidifying his new, unexpected status. The two monarchs then ask to become his kin, a request that proves a bit too stimulating for the prince. Horus is completely overwhelmed by the sudden turn of events, reacting with a comically intense nosebleed. He tries to regain his composure, insisting his first priority is getting Mel some proper attire. While Isis panics over Mel's state of dress, Mel is more concerned about Horus's sudden affliction. Isis frantically offers her own clothes, while Mel apologizes for her unfamiliarity with human customs. Mel quickly improvises with a piece of cloth, asking if her makeshift outfit is acceptable. Deciding to solve the problem himself, Horus simply decides to conjure a new robe out of sand. Isis takes matters into her own hands, covering the prince's eyes to spare his fragile composure. Once the situation is calmed, Mel explains their transformation was foretold in ancient ant legends. Ain explains their human form is
What?
powerful
Bullshit. I hate the fucking.
the prince's undying loyalty, considering it a great honor. Horus questions the logistics of their service, but Ain confidently tells him not to worry. He reveals they have relocated their entire colossal nest to sit beside the sand fortress. Horus then spots Mel outside by the oasis, already interacting with her ant subjects. Stunned by this development, Horus learns that as his kin, they are bound to stay by his side. Ain points out that Mel is already weaving clothes from leaves, a skill that surprises Horus. His thoughts are interrupted as Isis calls down. Snap the top. She looks down with a hopeful expression, asking for his
I
assistance.
can understand the colonies because the answer just come wherever they got that monarch set.
Ready to begin their
But-
next endeavor.
The whole thing.
Isis points to a patch of sand,
These are
suggesting
new
they turn the
ones,
area
yes.
into farmland.
The entire
Horus agrees with her plan, but notes that sand is too porous to grow crops effectively. She looks at him with determination, explaining her plan to create proper soil for their new kingdom. With a supportive smile, he agrees to help her gather
Bitch ass nigga. Oh, bitch ass.
Overjoyed by his immediate support, her face lights up with a bright, enthusiastic smile.
Yo, so.
Their journey is
Oh,
interrupted
I
by
got
a
1500.
massive lion-like monster, and Isis questions if
Alright,
it's possible.
shit.
Ain steps forward, confidently explaining that his new form came with a significant boost in strength. Planting his foot firmly in the sand, he declares that he will handle this threat himself. Horus expresses concern for his safety, but Ain confidently reassures his new king. He adds with a smirk that he also has his treasured spear, fully prepared for the coming battle. Ain faces the roaring beast head-on, his confidence unwavering as he prepares to strike. He scoffs at the creature, dismissing its power as completely insignificant compared to his own. With a powerful grunt, he lunges forward, unleashing a swift and decisive thrust with his spear. His attack connects with incredible force, sending the massive beast flying backward. Before the creature can recover, he closes the distance and lands another devastating blow. The lion-like monster cries out in its final moments before dissolving into nothingness. He stands victorious over the spot where the monster fell, the battle already concluded. A satisfied smirk crosses his face, as he realizes his new form is even more powerful than he anticipated. Isis rushes over to congratulate him on the incredible feat, and he humbly accepts her praise.
Yes, it
When
was.
questioned by Horus, Ain reveals he can't use spells, having simply infused his sphere with raw magical energy. Mel's attention is suddenly drawn to a pair of birds circling above them. Isis is still reeling from Ain's display of power, while he humbly gives credit to his new lord.
Oh,
Mel identifies
shit.
the birds as scavengers targeting their kill, and decides to scare them off. She unleashes a brilliant flash of light, dazzling display meant to frighten the birds away. Horus is
Get the
stunned by
fuck
the
up!
display, asking Mel if she
Bro,
can
get
use
the
light
fuck
magic.
up!
She proudly confirms it,
You guys to be
that
kidding
receiving
me.
a name from him.
I was stuck in a roller.
Mel eagerly offers her rare light magic for his use, while Isis watches with a hint of envy. The prince is once again overwhelmed by the situation, much to Ain's weary exasperation. Ain reflects that Mel's complete innocence about her suggestive offer is what makes the situation so awkward. Isis, however, remains completely oblivious to the underlying tension. Isis suddenly points into the distance, having spotted something crucial for their survival. Her keen eyes have located a vast, wild field of sorghum, a rare sight in the barren desert. She explains that this isn't just any grain. It's a nutritious and valuable white sorghum, a stroke of incredible luck. The group immediately gets to work harvesting, with Ain enthusiastically gathering far more than his share. Horus is impressed by her botanical knowledge, admitting her expertise is a huge asset to their new kingdom.
Get the fuck
Overflowing with confidence, Isis happily accepts the
About to
compliment.
quit. Because how the fuck I keep getting stuck off the
They return to
stairs?
their magnificent fortress, which now stands as a beacon of civilization in the endless dunes. The harvested materials in hand, Isis announces her first project, creating rich compost for their future farm. Horus readily assists, creating a perfect sand container for her project, which she gratefully accepts. Ain and Mel arrive shortly after, carrying a mountain of organic material to help
That's
with
some
compost. Isis begins her project, combining shredded palm leaves, sorghum, and other organic matter into the sand container. She then casts a spell, using her light magic to rapidly accelerate the fermentation of the mixture. The process is complex, involving multiple stages of draining, mixing, and adding new materials to create
Ain't no
perfect
fucking
soil.
way.
The group marvels at the final product.
What?
Crumbling
Another
apart, Mel
soldier.
expressing relief that the foul smell is gone. With the soil ready, Isis confidently hands the next stage of the project to Horus. He steps up, using his sand magic to expertly shape the new compost into long, uniform rods. In an instant, he lays out the compost rods in perfect rows, creating a vast, ready-to-use farm plot. He looks to Isis for approval, and she confirms that his work is exactly what they
Yes.
need. Kneeling by their new field, Isis confidently declares that this humble plot will soon become a thriving farm. Horus looks on with pride, acknowledging that their new home is steadily improving thanks to everyone's combined efforts. He surveys their growing kingdom, a castle, an oasis, a farm, and a home for his new allies. With a heartfelt smile, he turns to thank everyone for
shit.
making this possible. While his companions are
Oh,
honored to
baby.
help, Ain already has their next big project in mind. He points out a strategic flaw, suggesting they build a watchtower for a better vantage point. They realize the surrounding dunes are higher than the surface,
Fucking
leaving
kidding.
them exposed from the north and west. Horus agrees with this assessment, deciding a tower is a necessary addition for their security. Without a moment's hesitation, he begins to gather the very desert floor at his command. Placing his hands on a massive magic circle, he prepares to unleash another incredible feat of sand magic. In a breathtaking display, an immense and ornate watchtower erupts from the sand, dwarfing the fortress itself. His companions are left speechless by the new structure, and he eagerly suggests they explore their new vantage point. From the top of their new tower, they gaze out at the endless sea of sand. Isis and Horus share a quiet moment, admiring the desolate landscape. But the prince's attention is suddenly drawn away from the view and towards his companion. He's once again captivated by Isis's profile, as she enjoys the desert music. Their peaceful moment is shattered by Ain, who spots Raku the camel performing a dangerous stunt on the railing. Horus is stunned, realizing a quiet moment of accomplishment is too much to ask
Outta
for with
here.
this chaotic group. Isis begins to scold her reckless camel, warning it to stop its dangerous antics. Suddenly, a massive bird swoops down from the sky, snatching the mischievous camel from the ledge. Both Horus and Isis cry out in pure shock and horror at the unexpected abduction. But Raku seems completely unfazed, letting out a cheerful cry as it's carried off into the sky. Horus cries out as he watches the massive bird carry Raku off into the distance. Without a second thought, he leaps from the tower, reassuring Isis that he'll handle it. He summons a sand wave, surfing across the desert in hot pursuit of the avian kidnapper. Skimming across the dunes, he expertly positions himself directly beneath the soaring bird. The giant bird squawks in surprise as Horus suddenly appears in the air beside it. To gain altitude, he launches himself skyward on a rapidly rising pillar of sand. Mid-air, he channels his magic, a complex spell circle materializing before him. He unleashes a devastating punch with a colossal fist made of sand, striking the bird directly. As the bird releases its grip, Horus effortlessly catches the cheering camel mid-fall. The bird's now empty talons are a testament to his swift and successful rescue mission. Isis watches in horror from the tower, as Horus and her camel plummet towards the ground. To break their fall, he instantly conjures a massive sand slide, guiding them safely toward the desert floor. For extra protection, he wraps them both in a swirling sphere of sand just before impact. The camel clings to his arm with a goofy grin as Horus tells it to brace for the landing. Their protective sand bubble dissolves harmlessly back into the desert the moment they touch down. A single mysterious sphere is left behind, bouncing gently on the sand where they landed. The landing sends them tumbling, with Horus taking the brunt of the impact while the camel enjoys the ride. Lying on the ground, he lets out a sigh of relief, thankful that the chaotic rescue is finally over. His exhaustion turns to curiosity as he notices the ground around him is shimmering with a strange light. He realizes they've landed in a vast field of gold dust, nestled beside a massive, glittering cliff. His curiosity is piqued by a mysterious structure half buried in the golden sand. He turns his head, a thoughtful expression on his face as he takes in the strange sight. Upon closer inspection,